Do you worry about money? Have you ever wondered where you sit in terms of the top earners in your country? I have, and I always expected to be somewhere in the middle. You so often see news stories citing the top 10% or 1% of earners, but how much do you actually have to be making to be one of those top earners? Well, I did a bit of research on this, and I can tell you that in the UK, if you're earning over £80,000, you're considered to be in the top 10% of earners. And to be in the lower end of the top 1%, you need to be making £177,000. These figures shocked me. I expected them to be a lot higher. So determining whether or not you're actually doing well financially is not as simple as you'd think. But on the flip side, you're probably doing better than you expected. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing 11 signs that you're actually probably doing pretty well financially. There are two factors that play a role in your financial position. One being the money that you bring in, and two being what you do with that money, how you spend it, invest it, or save it. Now, 23% of households have no savings at all, and only 50% of households have over £1,000 saved for a rainy day, I guess, like today. So if you have over £1,000 in savings, you're straight away into the top 30% of wealthiest people in the country. When it comes to comparing yourself to others or keeping up with the Joneses, know that people may look like they have more money than you do. They may have just bought a new car or come back from a recent holiday, but this actually means little in terms of their financial situation. And that's because 35% of the population actually spend more than they earn. So because when researching how to determine your financial position, I was bombarded with statistics and percentages, here are 11 signs that you're actually probably doing pretty well financially. You can afford to have your bills set up as direct debits, knowing that the income you're going to bring in that month is going to be sufficient to cover these costs. You're not having to make reminders for all of your outgoings and checking your bank balance before paying each one off. A lot of people will spend money before their bills are due, and then when the time comes to actually pay these bills, they're struggling to scrape enough money together to pay for these necessities because they haven't been prioritized. You know your financial weaknesses, like times when you're stressed, bored, or just admitting that you probably spend a little bit too much drinking coffee when you should just be drinking water, which is better for you anyway. We all know that it's easy to break your own spending rules, so being able to control your impulsive habits means you're doing pretty great. My worst spending habit at the minute is buying toys for my daughter, even though she's got stacks and stacks in the cupboard that she doesn't even use. You care about your finances and you're looking to improve. As the basics of finances are not taught at school, it's down to us to educate ourselves. And just by doing so means that we're becoming more financially conscious of our spending. Like thinking twice about whether you really need to sign up for that Spotify subscription, that Netflix subscription, or buying those new shoes. And in turn, thinking about and considering our financial habits, well, it just makes us better at managing it. You're comfortable talking about money with family and friends and sometimes colleagues as well. Don't you think it's insane that some companies have a rule that you're not allowed to discuss your salary with your colleagues? Well, it makes sense for them because chances are you could be earning more. And knowing what you're earning in comparison to others, your colleagues, well, it puts you in a great position for a future pay rise discussion or negotiation. So if you're open about discussing your finances, you're on the right track. You have a budget and you stick to it. Even better, you put it down in writing or you track it on an app. Without tackling your finances head on, it's easy to fall into the trap of being intentionally unaware of how much you're bringing in and how much you're spending. You'd be surprised by how many people treat their money like their health, knowingly eating too much chocolate or not exercising and just hoping they won't get fat. Even better if you have investing and saving goals each month, because then you're not just heading in the right direction, you're moving that way too. And what I mean by this is that every month when your salary comes in, when it hits your bank account, you want to have a figure in mind basically, whether it be 30%, 20%, even 10%. And that amount of money is what you put aside for your savings or investments every month. And then you just know that that's put aside before you start spending any of your money. You have an emergency fund, an amount which is set aside for when the unexpected happens. Like last month, I was woken in the middle of the night by my alarm going off on my van. I got up, sorted it out, and thought nothing of it. But then the next time I got into the van to actually drive it, it wouldn't start. Turns out the battery had died and I had to go and spend £220 for a new one. And I struggled to change it, I tell you. Now, an emergency fund can be any amount of money, but a really good emergency fund is considered to be 6 months worth of living expenses because, you know, a broken down battery could be the least of your worries. You track your net worth. Now, this doesn't have to be fancy. This can just be on a simple spreadsheet. Just having it written down somewhere just reinforces the idea in your mind that it's something that you're trying to build. It's almost like an adult version of playing a high-stakes video game. With inflation being rife at the moment, it's important that you put your savings to work so that they don't actually decrease in value, but increase in value instead. And here's the average UK net worth by age. So you can see that the net worth obviously increases as you get older, 25 to 35, 85K and 200 grand. And then sort of 55 to 64 years old, you're looking at between $500,000 and $1 million. Obviously your assets are going to grow and your net worth is going to grow as you get older. But this is just a nice snapshot of the average so that you can determine where you fit in. You pay off your credit card in full every month because interest rates are always going to be unfavorable. And actually, only 8% of people pay off their credit card in full every month. It's good to do this manually so that you can just check all of the charges on your statement before paying it off. Doing this can also help increase your credit score, which is going to help you when you come to apply for a mortgage or any other loan as well. So if you're already doing this, or if you're able to start doing this every month, you're doing pretty good. You track your credit score. Following on from the last point, keeping on top of your credit score not only instills good financial practice into your everyday, but it can also actually save you money when you're going to take out a loan. Having a better credit score actually means that you're going to get favorable rates when it comes to taking out a loan compared to someone with a worse credit score than yourself. And that's because people with a lower credit score generally have to pay a higher interest rate for the exact same loan as someone who has a better credit score than them. You have a side hustle, because just relying on one source of income these days may not be the best idea. There is increasing uncertainty in the global economy, and with recent advances in AI as well, who knows where we're heading, especially in terms of the job market. So diversifying your income is a sign that you're thinking ahead, and in the future, you're going to be less reliant on your main employer. Side hustles often start off small, but they grow over time, so just stick with it. You invest in yourself, and this is something that I definitely need to improve on. Taking the time to invest in your personal development by learning new skills or just reading more books related to the skills that you want to improve. This is different to investing in the stock market because you're not increasing the value of your assets, you're actually increasing the value of yourself, and you become more valuable in the space that you're working. There are so many free resources out there nowadays that this isn't about going back to uni to get an extra degree, a master's degree or whatever, but instead just taking the time to do your own research and invest in yourself, just taking the time.
First of all, you don't need college to learn stuff, okay? Everything is available basically for free. You can learn anything you want for free.
If after all of this you're convinced that you're on the right track, then great. But maybe you feel like you need a little bit more advice from a qualified professional. Definitely not myself, but if you're considering hiring a financial advisor, check out this video and don't fall for their tricks. And that's it for today's video. Drop a comment down below to let me know how you think you're doing financially, whether you're doing better than you expected or potentially not. Drop a subscribe if you're not already, hit the like button, and that's it. Cheers.